The transmission echoed again and again, washing through the vast chamber of the Galactic Council with a quiet, pleading refrain. "This is Haven Colony. We are under attack. Please, we need help. The raiders have breached our outer towns. They are advancing on our central cities. We cannot stop them. Please, anyone, answer us." The voice came from a Lumen, one of the radiant light beings who had made their home on the remote world named Haven. Their people were famed across the stars for wisdom and harmony. They were equally known for having no defenses of their own. Ambassador Gray stood before the crescent table where the 12 senior counselors presided. His slender fingers drummed anxiously against his data slate as the plea repeated once more. The counselors stirred uneasily, reluctant to be the first to break the silence. "That same message has run for 3 days, Gray said at last. "By now, the Void Raiders have likely consumed half the world." Admiral Pike, the sole military voice present, inclined his head in grim agreement. "Raiders never leave the living. They strip worlds bare resources, relics, slaves, and burn whatever remains." The presiding counselor, an elder with bark-like polished skin, leaned forward. "We grieve for the Lumen, but Haven lies at the fringe of charted space. No peacekeeping fleet could arrive in time." Gray had expected such a reply. It was the same dismissal he had heard from every delegation he'd begged in the last 72 hours. The Arat claimed their fleets were bound by sacred festival. The Mandari were locked in their seasonal hibernation. The Ziv, as always, possessed no warships at all. "There remains one path we have not attempted," Gray said slowly. He knew the reaction his words would bring. Earth, the chamber froze. Even the repeating distress call seemed to fade away. "The humans." The head counselor's tone was hushed, as though uttering a forbidden's name. "You cannot mean that. They have warships, swift ones. Their system lies closer to Haven than any of ours." "And they barbarians," another counselor cut in sharply, feathered, crest flaring with alarm. "They are children of a Class 12 death world. Do you grasp that, Ambassador? Their very home tried to kill them every single day of their rise. And instead of perishing like all reasonable species, they fought back and prevailed." Admiral Pike cleared his throat. Counselor Thren is not mistaken about their reputation. Yet the humans possess a curious tendency. They answer distress calls always, as if unable to resist. Gray nodded quickly. "It is true. In the 5 years since Earth joined this council, their vessels have diverted 11 times to aid species they had no prior contact with. And each time they fought. They engaged in violence," Thren snapped. "Only against the attackers," Pike replied evenly. "Never those who sought their help." The head counselor lifted a hand, quieting the chamber. "Even if we summoned them, what could a single world achieve? The Void Raiders control an entire fleet." Pike and Gray exchanged a knowing glance. Pike spoke. "The humans do not wage war as we do. Their methods are unlike ours." The chamber dissolved into arguments, outrage mixing with intrigue. At last, the head counselor struck the attention chime. "We shall vote. Shall Earth be petitioned to aid the Lumen of Haven?" The tally was narrow, 74 in favor, 5 opposed. Relief washed over Gray, though he knew dissent would follow. He composed the request and sent it along the secure line to Earth. Silence fell as they waited. Many expected delay, perhaps refusal. Earth's presence had been muted since joining the galactic fold, their delegates quiet, withdrawn. Yet the reply came in only 3 minutes. SOS acknowledged. HMS Nemesis en route. Ada, 72 hours. Gray read the words aloud and the chamber grew tense. "Efficient," Gray murmured. "No debates, no delays, no questions, just we heard. We're coming, 3 days. We should inform the Lumen their aid is on its way." The head counselor's brow furrowed. Aid or something else? Perhaps Earth's intention should be clarified. Pike shook his head. The Nemesis already left orbit. It will not pause for discussion. Another aide hurried forward, offering a data crystal. Pike slid it into the projector, and a spectral image shimmered above the chamber. The vessel that appeared was unlike anything they recognized. Sleek, black, its surface smooth and unmarked, yet exuding threat. "This," Pike said, "is the sole recorded sighting of the Nemesis, captured during last year's joint drill. Earth does not disclose its warship schematics." "It looks like a predator," whispered one counselor. "Admiral," the head counselor said gravely, "when this ship arrives at Haven, what should we expect?" Pike studied the projection. Unreadable. Humans have a saying, "Speak softly and carry a big stick. Negotiate in peace, but keep overwhelming force ready." He gestured toward the ominous silhouette. "This, counselors, is a very big stick. And the Void Raiders are about to learn the same lesson every predator on Earth already had. Sometimes the prey isn't prey at all, it's a hunter lying in wait." Behind it all, the Lumen distress call kept looping. "Please anyone, help us." But now those words felt different. Help was on the way, but not the kind of help anyone had imagined. As the council adjourned, Gray's thoughts lingered uneasily. Other species would send healers, envoys, peacemakers. The humans were sending soldiers. Did that make them saviors or destroyers? Perhaps, he thought, staring at the Nemesis. Image, they were neither. Perhaps they were something new, something the galaxy had yet to name. The Void Raiders, however, were about to learn. Captain Rhee stood poised on the bridge of HMS Nemesis, her hands clasped neatly behind her. Beyond the viewport, stars warped into bright lines as the destroyer tore through hyperspace. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency, only the soft tones of consoles and the occasional report breaking the silence. "Time to target?" Rhee asked, her voice even. 26 minutes, Captain," came the reply. Lieutenant Foster looked up from communications. "The Lumen distress call is still transmitting, Captain. No alteration in the signal." Rhee inclined her head. 3 days at maximum burn had carried Nemesis to Haven's Edge. 3 days in which the Raiders had savaged an unarmed people. Tactical overlay. Reordered. Commander Stone, her first officer, keyed the central holo projector. A 3-dimensional render of the system bloomed into the air, Haven glowing soft blue at its heart. Red markers flared in orbit 7 ships. "They're dispersed," Stone noted. "No formation, no coordination." "They aren't expecting visitors. Why would they?" Rhee said evenly. "The closest Council fleet is 2 weeks out, even at flank speed." Stone's lips curved faintly. "But we're not Council." "No." Rhee agreed, her eyes hard. "We're not." The bridge doors parted and Dr. Wells, Nemesis xenobiologist, stepped in. Her white coat stood in stark contrast to the dark uniforms around her. "Captain, I've completed my preliminary on the Lumen." She lifted a datapad, tapping to bring up images. Slender figures with faintly glowing skin shimmered in the projection. "They're even more fragile than we assumed," Wells explained. "Their world evolved without predators. No natural disasters. No environmental threats. They've never known struggle." Stone frowned. "And yet they colonized Haven." "With Council aid," Wells said. "Technology without hardship. Their light-producing skin is for communication and mating displays, nothing defensive. And," she hesitated, "they are mildly telepathic, but only at short range." "Telepathic?" Stone asked, leaning forward. Stone glanced up sharply. "Captain Concern. If they're telepathic, will they be able to probe us?" "Not in the way you fear," Wells replied. "They can't strip memories or uncover secrets. It's more impressions, emotions, the contours of thought, rather than the words themselves." Rhee's gaze narrowed. "And what will they feel?" "From us?" Wells hesitated, then exhaled. "That's the problem. The Lumen have no history of predators, no concept of violence at all. When they sense the scale of our capacity for war, the readiness with which we fight, it may terrify them as much as the raiders do. So we arrive as saviors, Ree murmured, and may be received as monsters. Yes, Wells confirmed softly. And there's more. Their empathy is not one way. When a Lumen dies, every nearby Lumen feels it. Pain, fear, the shattering of a mind. The raiders aren't just slaughtering them physically, they're breaking them psychologically with every kill. The bridge went still, faces tightened. Even the quiet hum of consoles seemed muted. Ree's expression hardened into iron. Tell me about these raiders. Stone keyed the holomap, cycling to new data. Images flickered ships, scarred and jagged, crews of mismatched species. They're not a people, Captain. They're exiles, criminals, scavengers from a dozen worlds bound together under one banner commander. Dusk. The projection stabilized on a towering figure. 4 arms, obsidian skin, eyes burning with red light. Dusk, Stone said grimly. Once a decorated officer of the Tardominion fleet. Court-martialed for atrocities, slaughtering civilians during what was meant to be a peacekeeping mission. Instead of serving sentence, he mutinied, stole a warship, and vanished into the fringe. Since then he's built his horde from others like him, those who live for cruelty. And his methods? Ree asked. Predictable, Stone answered. He targets developing colonies rich in resources but weak in defense. He strips them bare minerals, technology, slaves, and then raises the rest. No survivors, no evidence, just silence. Until now, Ree said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. From the helm came the navigator's crisp call. With limited weapons. Instead, they were getting the HMS Nemesis, one of Earth's most advanced warships, crewed by beings who had evolved on a world where danger lurked around every corner, where survival meant being stronger or smarter or faster than whatever was trying to kill you. Disengage stealth systems, reordered. Target their engines only. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed. The black hull of the Nemesis suddenly lit up as its systems powered to full capacity. To the crew of the Viper, it must have seemed like a predator materializing out of nowhere. Open communications, Ree said. The raiders were about to learn an important lesson. Sometimes when you hunt the helpless, you attract the attention of something far more dangerous than your prey. Ree stepped forward, her voice clear and firm, as she addressed the enemy. This is Captain Ree of the Earth vessel Nemesis. You are conducting illegal operations against a protected species. Surrender immediately. The hunt had begun. The bridge of the raider ship Viper fell silent as Captain Reese's face appeared on their main screen. The human's calm expression revealed nothing, but her words hung in the air like a threat. This is Captain Ree of the Earth vessel Nemesis. You are conducting illegal operations against a protected species. Surrender immediately. The Viper's captain, a scarred alien named Fang, recovered quickly from his surprise. Patch me through to Commander Dusk, he hissed to his communications officer. Moments later, Commander Dusk's face appeared on a secondary screen. His red eyes narrowed as Fang explained the situation. One ship, Dusk laughed, his voice deep and rough. The Galactic Council must be truly desperate to send a single vessel. Dusk moved his face closer to his camera, addressing the human captain directly. Tell your council masters that Haven belongs to the Void Raiders now. Leave while you still can. We're not from Beconsil, Ree replied evenly. We're from Earth. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Dusk's face. Earth? The Death World? He paused, then shrugged with all 4 arms. Your reputation is exaggerated. One ship cannot stand against 7. Leave now, and we might allow it. Ree ended the transmission without responding. Commander Stone looked at her. They're not taking us seriously. Good, Ree said with a small smile. Target the Viper's engine section. Precision strike only. On the tactical screen, The crew watched as the Nemesis's targeting systems locked onto the raider vessel's propulsion systems. "Fire," reordered. A single energy beam glanced out from the Nemesis, striking the Viper with surgical precision. The raider ship's engines flared and died, leaving it drifting helplessly. "Direct hit," reported the tactical officer. "Their engines are disabled, life support intact." "Now we have their attention," Ree said. "All remaining raider ships are changing course to intercept us." 6 warships, each larger than the Nemesis, began moving to surround the human vessel. Their weapons charged glowing points of light against the blackness of space. "They're forming a standard encirclement pattern," Stone observed. "Predictable?" "Too predictable," Ree agreed. She turned to her navigation officer. "Prepare hyperspace jump sequence alpha target coordinate testically behind there." "Command ship." The officer looked startled. "Captain, a jump that short is extremely dangerous." "The calculations have already been made," Ree interrupted. "This is what we trained for, Lieutenant." As the raider ships closed in, their weapons reaching optimal firing range, Ree gave the order. "Execute jump." The Nemesis vanished in soda, a flash of light only to reappear seconds later directly behind the largest raider vessel, Dusk's common ship, the Scourge. "Fire at will," Ree commanded. The Nemesis unleashed a barrage of weapons fire at the Scourge's unprotected rear. Alarms blared on the raider vessels as they scrambled to adjust their formation. "They're confused," Stone said with satisfaction. "They've never seen a ship make a jump that precise within a system." "Again," reordered. "Jump sequence beta." The Nemesis disappeared once more, reappearing above a different raider ship. More precision strikes followed. "They're trying to predict or pattern," Stone noted as the raiders began firing wildly. "There's no pattern," Ree replied. On Haven's surface, Sergeant Miller led his team of Special Forces soldiers through the ruins of what had once been a beautiful Lumen city. They had landed their stealth dropship in a forest, clearing 5 kilometers from the largest detention center. Miller signaled his team to stop as they reached the edge of a clearing. Ahead, a large crystal structure had been converted into a prison. Raider guards patrolled the perimeter, while inside hundreds of Lumen were visible. They're softly glowing, bodies making them easy to spot even from a distance. 6 guards at the main entrance, we whispered Harris, the team scout. 4 more on the roof, simple alarm system, Miller nodded. Standard formation. Non-lethal takedowns if possible. Remember, the Lumen will sense any deaths telepathically. The team split into 3 groups and moved silently through the shadows. Miller's group approached the main entrance using the cover of fallen crystal columns. The raiders, accustomed to facing no resistance, had grown careless in their guard duty. 2 were actually playing a game with small stones, while the others talked loudly among themselves. Miller gave the signal and his team moved. They struck with quiet efficiency, stun weapons, dropping 4 guards before they could react. The remaining 2 reached for their weapons, but were quickly overwhelmed by the human speed and precision. In less than a minute, all guards were neutralized and Miller's team had control of the entrance. "Main entrance secure," Miller reported through his communicator. "Team 2, status." "Roof secured," came the reply. "No alarms triggered." Team 3, begin extraction. As Miller's soldiers moved into the detention center, they encountered something unexpected. The Lumen prisoners were not cowering in fear, as might be expected. Instead, they were standing near the entrance, their bodies glowing with a strange pulsing light. An older Lumen stepped forward, taller than the others with skin that shimmered like sunlight on water. "We felt your minds approaching," the Lumen said in a soft voice. "You were different." Miller lowered his weapon. "My name is Sergeant Miller. We're humans from Earth. We've come to help." The Lumen studied him with large, luminous eyes. "Your minds are strange to us, ordered yet chaotic. You intend violence, but for protection. That's right, Miller confirmed. We're here to help, but we do things differently than you're used to. The Lumen introduced himself as Bright, an elder of his people. I have seen into the minds of raiders, Bright said, his light dimming slightly. There's only darkness there, hunger and cruelty. But you, he tilted his head curiously. You contain both light and darkness in perfect balance. Before Miller could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the compound, through the crystal walls. They could see more raider ships landing nearby. They know we're here, Harris said tensely. Protect the Lumen, Miller ordered his team. Defensive eposins. As raiders poured into the detention center from multiple entrances, the human soldiers moved with practiced coordination. Unlike the Lumen, who could only flee from violence, the humans engaged it with controlled precision. The raiders, expecting easy targets, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Miller's team used the crystal architecture for cover, setting traps and ambush that confused and separated the attacking forces. Bright and the other Lumen watched in astonishment as the humans fought. Where a Lumen would panic or freeze, the humans remained calm. Where the raiders attacked with wild aggression, the humans responded with calculated efficiency. How do they fight like this? One raider commander shouted into his communicator as his forces fell back in disarray. It's like they've been preparing for this their entire lives. From his position, behind a fallen column, Miller spotted a group of raiders using their weapons to herd Lumen prisoners as shields. He switched his rifle to stun setting and spoke quietly to Bright, who had remained nearby. Can your people hear thoughts from a distance? Miller asked. Bright's glow pulsed. Yes, if we focus together. We need a distraction, Miller explained quickly. Can your people send a message to all the Lumen in that group at once? Tell them to drop to the ground on my signal. Bright nodded, his light brightening with understanding. The elder Lumen closed his eyes and several nearby Lumen joined hands, their collective glow intensifying. Miller counted down on his fingers. 3, 2, 1. All at once, every Lumen being held by the raiders dropped to the floor. In the split second of confusion that followed, Miller's team fired, dropping the surprised raiders with precise stun blasts. It worked, Bright said, his voice filled with wonder. We have never used our abilities this way before. Sometimes seeing things differently is an advantage, Miller replied, already moving toward the next group of raiders. As the battle continued, the Lumen began to understand something profound about the humans. These strange beings from a world called Earth didn't just know how to fight. They had evolved with it, refined it, mastered it. The violence that so terrified the Lumen was too. Humans, simply another skill to be used when necessary. And now, for the first time, the raiders were facing an enemy who could match their aggression with something more dangerous. Discipline. Over his communicator, Miller heard the voice of Captain Ree. Ground team status report. Primary dention. Center secured. Captain, Miller replied as his team rounded up the last of the surrendering raiders. But there's something you should know. He looked at Bright. Pike mentioned this trait of yours. He called it a compulsion. Perhaps it is, Ree acknowledged. On our world, those who could help others, but choose not to are considered lacking something essential. They watched as a human child and a Lumen child played together near a fountain. The human teaching the Lumen a game with small stones, while the Lumen created tiny light patterns that the human tried to catch. The Council fared you, Gray admitted quietly. When Earth joined us 5 years ago, Manny believed it was only a matter of time before humans tried to dominate through force. Your world, your history, they're so different from the rest of us. Yes, Ree agreed. We evolved on a world thattered to kill us every day. We had to become strong to survive. She watched the playing children with a soft expression. But strength doesn't have to be frightening, Ambassador. It can also protect. In Vegerden, more humans and Lumen had joined the children's game, laughing and glowing in the growing darkness. Your ships are called His Majesty's ship, Grey noted. Nemesis is Anim from human mythology, is it not? The goddess of retribution. Yes, Ree nodded. But also of balance and harmony. She brought retribution to those who needed it, but protection to those who deserved it. As they watched the celebration, Admiral Pike approached with a data crystal in hand. Captain Ree, this just arrived from Earth. 3 more human ships are being dispatched to Haven. They're bringing construction equipment, medical supplies, and teachers. Teachers, Grey questioned. The Lumen want to learn from us, Miller explained, joining the conversation. And we want to learn from them. They understand harmony in ways we don't. We understand protection in ways they don't. The human sergeant looked toward where Commander Dusk was being held in a secure facility, awaiting transport to a council prison planet. The raiders thought the Lumen were easy targets because they couldn't fight back. What they didn't understand was that sometimes when you threaten the peaceful, you attract the attention of warriors. In the night sky above them, stars glittered like distant beacons. Somewhere out there, Earth continued its own journey among the stars. A death world whose inhabitants had mastered both war and peace, violence and compassion. The Lumen's distress call had reached the Deathworlders. They hadn't sent aid workers. They hadn't sent diplomats. They had sent warriors in a dangerous ship. And in doing so, they had brought not just rescue, but possibility. The beginning of something new in the galaxy. A partnership between a species that understood perfect peace and one that understood necessary violence. As the celebration continued into the night, the light of the Lumen merged with the shadows of the humans, creating patterns neither species could have met alone.